food is, by its very nature, it's ephemeral, right? It's a very short-lived, finite experience, but it really is the narrative around that food that people really dwell on. It's the thing that, I mean, for if you want to be really cynical about it, it's the marketing of the food, right? It's how people get word of mouth and everything out there. But as Ernest and I were talking, he's going to have people that have maybe driven hundreds of miles and that are going to stand outside his building for 2 hours. And yes, they're going to enjoy the things that have taken multiple hours to make, but they're going to consume it in a relatively short amount of time, and then they're
Right.
going to leave. And so it all revolves around this narrative that is built not only by the person that's consuming it and using it, but certainly what is the atmosphere of the place they're in? What is the interaction with the people at the block? What is going on with all that? And I'm just curious, this being a seeming through line with all of the people that I've talked to up to this point, what for you was it a meal? Was it an experience? Was it a person that you came across that really started to associate the narrative side of food and storytelling for you in how you've kind of built out your career?
I mean, I think, you know, the romantic story of like cooking with your mother and like all those things like that for
Sure.
sure was part of like for me that like that's those are core memories of like my childhood. My mom was in catering and photography and an artist and all this stuff. So it's like, and they're a very hippie family. And, but it was very much like, we want you to like, you know, here's a box of crayons and here's this and here, we want you to like develop these, I don't know, be imaginative and be creative and all this stuff. And I think much to their chagrin, I also wanted to play a lot of like very aggressive sports too.
Sure.
But and I think those two things then collided in the restaurant world in the sense of like you're part of a team, you're creating these, you as a team are creating kind of these memories, but then you're also creating memories for the guest. And I think I don't know if there's like a core kind of piece to it. I do think that, working in New York in the like early 2000s and kind of, still in that heyday of like screaming and yelling and Gordon Ramsay and all this kind of like intense kitchen environment that I think probably locked it in for me as far as like this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. Because I love the chaos and I love the like mayhem, but then at the same time I love the creating the memories with the guest and those being a part of like someone's life for a very short amount of time but potentially creating a memory that they're gonna always kind of go back to, like that might be the restaurant where they got engaged or where they had their first date or that dish that like they still talk about years later and things like that. I think that that's like an incredible thing to get to be a part of with somebody. um, and yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of careers where you can really affect so many people um, with like the one thing that you do.